Alright, howdy guys, it has been a minute. Um, well, it's gonna be a couple more minutes because this is the last video I'm doing on this channel. A lot of you know me as the director and producer of the first two Sonic stop motion collabs, as well as my own series called Super Smash Bros. Stop Motion. I had a lot of fun making all those projects throughout the years, and I'd like to thank all of my voice actors as well as all of you for watching. They all work for free, by the way, which I guess can be a bit problematic, but look, I was like 18 years old at the time, okay? I made like $7 an hour working fast food. Anyways, I know it's sad, but I have moved on to new endeavors. I don't even do stop motion anymore. I have completely moved on to crypto, guys. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, new channel. Some of you are going to ask what happened to episode 6 and why I don't do stop motion anymore. Firstly, episode 6 got corrupted when I was like 95% done with it. I recently found some of the old files, but I really no longer have the will to keep going. In stop motion, I mean. I didn't mean to come off that dramatic. Alright, you know what? I'll just tell you, so dragging it on. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I was the editor/coordinator of the first two Sonic stop motion collabs. In fact, these collabs were originally my idea. However, there were these two guys that were very problematic. I was thinking about leaving them anonymous and just showing pictures of Bulk and Skull from the Power Rangers. But you know what? I'm going to show their channels. They never really gave me any decency, so why should I? In fact, I'm going to put them in the thumbnail. I will say, if you think that that's a bit far, last time I made a video exposing them, I sent it to them in our Discord server, and I kept their names anonymous, and then they called me cowards for doing this. So, fine, if you want to be public, there you go. The real channels are Lifeline the Hedgehog and DLP or Darkwood Pikachu, and yes, their names are even more edgy than my own. Unfortunately, I did not screenshot a lot of these messages, but if they release the full message history that they have on the Discord chat, they're going to look really bad, right? So they're probably not going to do that. All I have is my own private conversation with Lifeline, in which I took some screenshots of the main parts, and I'll buy a subscription to log the whole conversation as well, if that's necessary. But it's mostly just us throwing childish insults at each other, which makes us both look bad. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have engaged in that, and I will say that I started it. But like the guy's 30 years old when I was 19. These guys have followings way bigger than my own. I believe in the collab they had, if not the biggest channels out of all of us by like a huge margin. And plus they were like 5 to 10 years older than me. So they really should have known better. I know they're going to make some BS excuse not to release the logs on the servers. I would do it myself, but I'm kicked from the server, so I can't. A lot of the stuff I'm getting into involves them treating me really bad, and it's going to get serious. I could pick like 10 incidents with these guys, but I'll focus on 4. Again, I don't want this to be like a witch hunt sort of situation. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack for this as well because their channels are so massive, but I think that they really manipulated me, so I'll get into it. So first occasion, there was this situation in which Lifeline was like thirsting over, look, I'm serious, okay, it's like, I'm not trying to be funny here. He was like thirsting over this artist on Twitter, like he really liked her, was calling her cute and whatnot. I was only 19, I believe. I was 18 or 19 at the time, so I definitely did not understand the gravity of the situation, but Lifeline was damn near 30, so looking back, this was kind of problematic and creepy. So anyways, so he's thirsting over this girl, and he's like, I want her to make the logo for our collab, which normally would be fine. But the main problem for me was that we already had a logo, and it was done by someone already in our community. It was someone already in the Discord server. So I'm like, look, I understand you like this girl, but maybe could we have her do like the logo for like the end credits, or maybe they can like share a logo. Honestly, I was being very reasonable. But then Lifeline is like, I already commissioned her money to do this. And I'm like, bro, nobody asked you to do that. So, of course, we end up taking a vote. And because he has like 30,000 subscribers and I had like 500 at the time, they end up agreeing with him. especially DLP, which is, if you're going to understand very quickly that he was very much so like a yes man, that he just always just agreed to everything Lifeline said. So yeah, Lifeline wins like 10-1, and our old logo designers are getting kicked off. So yeah, that kind of shows the type of guys I'm dealing with here. So yeah, there was another incident when there was like this little kid that joined our server. I mean, this kid can't be older than like 7, okay? Understandably, like, he's speaking gibberish and like spamming in all caps, and it gets really annoying, so I agree to kick him off, which again is fine. But then Lifeline and DLP take it upon themselves to join this kid's own server, since I guess the invites were public or something, and then they proceed to absolutely trash on this kid. They're straight up calling him names, they're calling him an annoying brat. I mean, it gets so bad that I have to join the server and tell Lifeline and DLP to leave. I mean, like, I get the kid was annoying, but they literally went out of their way to bully this kid after he was already kicked. I mean, they went way too far there. Again, these guys were significantly older than me, so the fact that they acted in such a childish manner while someone much younger than themselves had to clean up their mess is crazy. The third situation was a time where DLP and I both agreed to ask a prominent member in the community if he wanted to join our collab. For the sake of privacy, let's call him Tommy. We're already doing the Power Ranger thing. I guess the guy gets annoyed because he pretty much complains to Lifeline about the whole thing. I mean, I guess they were friends, so fair enough. I'm sure Tommy gets annoying messages like that all the time, and I don't know enough about him to judge his character, so I'll just keep him anonymous. So anyways, Lifeline's pretty much calling me a weirdo for doing this, which I think is a bit far because I really didn't badger him that much. I literally just asked him once, and he respectfully declined, and then I said, okay, thanks anyways. And that was literally it. If you think that that's being stalkerish or creepy, then I really don't know what to tell you. But anyways, then DLP turns around and starts trashing me over it too, even though we both agreed to contact this guy. So it was obviously a sabotage sort of thing. Like, I'm not sure if they coordinated it, but it was clearly a situation in which they just wanted me gone, and they were just coming up with stuff to put, like, say, oh, well, this is your fault, this is your fault. And that brings me to the last situation, in which there were regular incidents in which DLP and Lifeline would schedule an important meeting in which we will all discuss the rules of the next collab. So this would be collab 3, by the way. But for whatever reason, neither Lifeline or DLP would show up, which is weird because they scheduled the meetings in the first place. So inevitably, Lifeline and DLP don't like some of the stuff in the rules that we made. So I'm like, fine, you know what, you missed the meeting. I was mad because you scheduled the meeting, but you know what, you missed the meeting, fine. So we schedule another meeting. Lifeline and DLP don't show up again. So now I'm like, you know what, tough luck, guys. You should have went to the meetings. One thing that I want to point out is that one rule we made was that the collab would not go on Lifeline's channel, since the original idea of the collab was that it would go on a new channel every time in order to boost up smaller creators. But yeah, so anyways, so at the middle of the night, Lifeline and DLP decide amongst themselves to just start making rules up while everyone's asleep. It was around 2 a.m. at the time. Barely anybody was active. One of the rules, of course, being that they are in charge of the collab and that my input is no longer important. DLP starts repeatedly spamming messages about how I'm a dictator, just calling me childish insults. I mean, he gets to like 15 plus messages. And it's getting to the point where people are joining this, like, logging on because of all the pings, and they're getting confused because DLP is making rules that directly contradict what we literally came up with the day before. And yeah, so I just decided, like, you know what, this is not productive at all. I'm going to periodically kick you from the server. However, Lifeline invites him back in the server, since like a couple of months ago, he kept whining about not having admin access, so I gave him admin access. And I don't want to say it's coordinated, but it just seems very interesting that things just happen to work out in the way they did. It just seems odd that, oh, you just happened to ask for admin a couple weeks before, and then now all of a sudden you're using admin to add back on someone who is obviously being a troll in the server. So yeah, they had their channels are like 50 to 100 times bigger than my own, and they held a meeting at like 2 a.m. with zero prior warning. So of course everyone agrees with them, because I mean, yeah, everyone looks up to these guys, you know. Okay, let me rephrase that actually. 2/3 of the people agree with them in public, but then they privately message me about how they're actually sorry and they don't agree with the new rules, but they're afraid to speak out. And honestly, I don't blame them. I would have done the same thing if I was in that position. So yeah, at the end of the day, the video ends up going on Lifeline's channel, and then I get designated to the special thanks section. He keeps trying to add me back in, but I just refuse at that point. Yeah, I mean, the thing that gets me the most is that if they really hated me that much, they could have just left my collab and made their own collab. But they wanted my collab. They wanted to show me that they had way more power than my puny channel. I remember Lifeline telling me word for word, "We all know who's really in charge," and the really was in all caps. And you know what? He was right. I ended up giving a fake apology and I left the server after that. And they finished the third collab without me. So yeah, I don't do stop motion anymore. That plus college and a newfound social life, and again, I wasn't exactly a saint. I remember about a year after the fact, I ended up stealing a Sonic toy from Lifeline after promising a custom action figure, and then I pretty much just called him a loser in the DMs. Was this mean and extremely childish? Yeah, absolutely. They pretty much did the same thing to that little kid. I guess the big difference is that I did it to a grown man who's 30 years old, not a first grader, but still, it was wrong to do. This pretty much ended up in us in a childish name calling session on both sides. And to his credit, he did apologize originally, but he literally said, I think I have this screenshot. He said specifically, "I will apologize if you apologize." I accepted the apology at the time, which was stupid because I didn't want to, but I didn't want there to be any animosity for the sake of the collab. When they kicked me off the collab as the leader, I remember I told Lifeline that I had a very serious death in my family. I was in a very vulnerable situation. But you know what he tells me? He says, "Well, my friend died last year." He immediately makes it about himself. I made both of these guys hundreds of thousands of views, and I've never gotten a single thanks. Not once. I've made DLP several custom action figures for free, which he still prominently shows on his channel. Lifeline recently used a custom that I made for his most recent episode of whatever series he's doing. Neither of them gave me any credit, of course, even though they went out of their way to give credit to literally everybody else. But you know what? Even if they did give credit, it wouldn't make a difference. Sonic stop motion, you know, I haven't really been a part of this thing for years now. And I tried to revive the community with the stop motion collabs, and I think I succeeded with that. And I'm proud of that. And they can't take that away from me. And regarding Lifeline and DLP, if you're listening, because I know you are, I don't want credit. This is what I want. Go ahead and make that entire chat history in the server public. That's all I want, because I'm sure you're going to have contrasting things to say. You're going to try to paint me in the worst possible light because I know that you both are extremely manipulative. Just release the chat and have everyone see it, okay? Both Lifeline and DLP are extremely talented creators, and this all happened 4 years ago, and I hope they grew up. I grew up. Part of me growing up was realizing how much they took advantage of me, but still. From what I've been told, they seem like nice guys now, even though that obviously does not make it okay for what they did. So like, I would prefer if you guys don't go after them, plus their channels are way bigger than mine anyways, so it wouldn't do much good. There are two sides to every story, especially after I decided to roast the shit out of Lifeline and steal a Sonic figure over a year after the fact. And to be honest, most people in the community were great. I had a lot more love than hate out of all of you. I had a lot of good memories, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Unfortunately, again, I don't have the receipts to back up what I'm saying, but Lifeline has told me in private that he kept all of our messages, so we will see. Unfortunately, I don't really trust that he won't delete messages, but hopefully Discord keeps some record of that. The only messages I have are the ones in private with me and him. DLP blocked me after I asked if I could defend myself in the stop motion server, which is fair. I was trolling at the time, but I would ask anyone in the server right now. I don't know how to or anything, but like take a screenshot of all the messages. So yeah, this was a video that I've been dreading to make honestly for years now. I really looked up to both DLP and Lifeline, and looking back, they treated me horribly. I wasn't really mature at the time or really in the right state of mind when I accepted Lifeline's half-hearted apology, even when I didn't mean it. And you know what? I will apologize for that. I shouldn't have accepted his apology if I didn't mean it. DLP, of course, never apologized at all. And I guess, which one's worse? A half-hearted apology or no apology? I don't know. That's up to you, I guess. So yeah, I'm going to make a new channel. I'm going to focus it probably on game development stuff. I think I'll also leave a link to my own Discord server. Hopefully there's no hostile takeovers again, but, you know, I think that'll be hard to do. But yeah, preferably I don't want to talk about this again, but if they have a follow-up they want to make, I think it's only fair for me to respond, in which case that will be my last video. But for now, that's all. Peace.